So the key objectives of the KiloWatt Hour will be to inspire generation of subject matter expertise through sharing of ideas and experiences, to facilitate knowledge sharing, information and experience within the organization. We also hope to influence behavior change through sharing of solutions, experiences, and more importantly, success stories.
I had nightmares, but I kept on trying. I said to the Lord that give me this power to overcome all this that I faced. I took a day at a time. We shared experiences. We met my colleagues from Kenya Power. Some are late, some are there. So we kept on encouraging one another that we will overcome this thing. And the thing that gave me encouragement when I got there were so old people from KPLs who were about to retire. I imagine if this mzee can manage this, why not me? I took that cold turkey, and then the urge of cigarette was gone. Alcohol was gone. Then it came this thing of my higher power. I got that spirit of God, that if you pray to God, you can get that power to overcome everything. We came up with inventories. Inside there's an inventory. Okay? You write down where you have gone wrong, the people that you have wronged, the people that you have disappointed in your life. You do amends. These things made me overcome. I forgive the ones that had wronged. I came outside and asked for forgiveness. I had my inventory. I had my plans. If I get outside, this is what I can do to overcome all these challenges. I spent there 90 days. The recaps, the steps that we are doing every day encouraged me day by day until the last time. When I was finishing the 90 days, I was told that you need to stay here 10 days. Those 10 days was reflection about my life, because now I'm getting outside. I will not live in an enclosed environment, in a box. Now I needed to think outside the box. I'm getting outside. There will be no strict measures. I will be free. I will go to my house. I will meet my friends. What can I do? We are given tools, 101 tools. There are traditions. I studied about traditions. I wrote some quotes. If you go to a treatment center, if you go there, you get people who are first there, they have written something. Those are the things that encourage me. I finished my 90 days, 100 days, I came outside. Now I was facing the reality. The reality was the surrounding. I'm coming back home, and then I'm coming back to the office. In the office, I'm facing people, the stigma. Huyu jamaa ametoka Riyadh jana. Outside, nobody knew where I was. My friends knew I was in South Africa for something for 3 months. That's what I showed them. No, they know I'm coming out, but they will find out that my usual habits have changed. Whenever we used to meet, we are not meeting there. The places that I used to go, I'm no longer going there. Now I want to face this reality. The outside work and everything. I came, I prayed to God, give me this strength. I came back to the office. A few people were encouraging. There are those people who want to be near you. There are those people who want to see you fall the other day. Some wanted me to fall the next day. They gave me 2 days. Siku mbili huyu jamaa anarudi hii kitu. Okay, I say, yeah. That thing gave me encouragement. They waited 1 week. You will go down by next week. You can pass usikie, jamaa amesema, unajua fanya anasema wewe utarudi. It gave me months, mwaka, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, until now.
My sobriety, I took my sobriety, came first. So anything else that people were saying on my back did not discourage me. I got encouragement from my friends. Some of my friends heard that I went to a treatment center. They called me, how do you manage to overcome this? I shared my story. Sharing my story built my motivation and everything. We started the AA meetings, Electricity House. I was given to add that group. That thing gave me encouragement. And as I'm seated here today, I want to encourage those people who are watching me, those people who are listening to my story, that you can make it. You can make it if you work it. You cannot achieve it if you cannot work for it. It's not an easy thing. This thing is not something that you need to be pushed. It's something that needs to come from you, the inner you yourself. You make your choice, you change. You know, this what I want, sobriety, because of my family. I want this because of my kids. It comes from you. If you build it, you don't listen to anything outside, something that want to distract you, you can achieve it a day at a time. If today you are sober, say tomorrow you'll be sober. If tomorrow you'll be sober, that a day at a time, you will achieve your sobriety. I want to encourage you that nothing is impossible in this life. With God, hata kama uombi, just pray to God. He will listen to you. God will give you strength. You go to a treatment center, you learn about your higher power. That's God. And without God, there's nothing that you can achieve in your life. Hata hii sobriety. Many people go to treatment center, they come back, there's relapse in life. You cannot achieve everything in your life. Sometimes you can fall, then you rise. You read the big book, you read the stories, Bill fall so many times until later in his life, that's when uh, he achieves sobriety. The same to Bob, the same to you. If you want to achieve this thing, you start it. Anxiety at workplace, this thing, if you want, you can change your life. I look at myself years back, I take a picture of me. That picture encourages me. Where I was 4 years back is not where I am today. I'm a different person. I've met so many friends. I receive calls from even I was with the sons of the ministers and ministers here. I was given a chance to talk to them. They changed. I get encouraged if I can talk to a person and change. Why not the colleagues? I've seen colleagues here. Wengi wamekufa vijana tulikuwa nao rehab. Because we are given 3 ways. Sobriety, sanity, or death. There are 3 ways. The latest I can share a story of a friend of mine we were with in a rehab. Those 3 ways. He chose to go back to alcoholism. He passed on. He was buried on Saturday. Tulikuwa seme. He passed on. If you can't die, you will be mad. Yeah. So there are 3 ways. For me, I choose sobriety, get encouraged. There's nothing that's not achievable in life. If you strive and work on it, you can achieve it. And in our workplaces, let's interact. Let's ukiona mlevi, don't dismiss that person or you start talking about him. Encourage him. The thing that we want to see, not stigma, encouragement. Usimwambie we enda we ni mlevi, hapana. Nani amekuambia ataache hiyo ulevi? So let's talk to one another, encourage, assist where you can. This thing is a menace, even in our own families. We have seen it in our parents. We don't want to see these things happening to our kids or to our brothers or sisters. because you can achieve it. If you talk to someone, he can listen. Tell him about the consequences. Tell him to meet people like us who have gone through those things. We sit down and share. If you share, we can build. The 12th step, we are being told after receiving all this, we call it the spiritual awakening. Now we move out as soldiers, as recovering addicts. We have been given that mandate. God has given us that strength to go outside and preach this gospel of addiction, that you can be sober, you can achieve your sobriety. Hiyo ndio kazi yetu. I want to inspire my colleagues, the ones that we're working with, the others in different departments, friends, those who are streamed online, that strive, put God first, and in your life you can achieve sobriety and you can achieve what you want. Thank you so much.
Wow. Thank you very much, Cliff. And 3 things are very clear: acceptance, commitment, and grit. And there's a word he said that I'd want to pick it up from there: anxiety. And I'll go to Engineer Ndolo. The company in itself, more than 50% of the staff are technical staff. And in the technical training, soft skills is an added unit or an added subject on top of your main training. But when you come to the workplace, soft skills is very key because it is what you need to achieve your KPIs. It is what you need to actually, Catherine said that my output is someone else's input. And part of that is the soft skills. How do I communicate? And we've seen a trend whereby there's a very high increase in the levels of anxiety. Looking at the technical staff, because of the pressures of work, there's a lot of disillusionment. And when you talk of mental health, it talks about boldness. When I'm frustrated, when I cannot deliver, I become disillusioned. And if my boss wants me to meet this particular KPI, I become anxious and I want to achieve it. And it contributes in some little aspects towards state of the mental mind in which we run around with. As a technical person, as you tell your story, what do you think, or how would you advise and encourage the technical people? And here I'm covering all levels of staff, and I'll take that technical aspect because it hugely impacts the input and the output of all other functions. So as you share your story, how can we handle this monster of anxiety, of disillusionment, and frustration amongst the staff within the company?
Okay, thank you, Sally, the moderator, and also for our guest of today and fellow colleagues. Well, my story is well known out there, but I can start just a step back, so that a story which is not known, but I can say the story which led me to be in Kenya Power. And back in 2005, I happened to have been working with another employer. And this employer, well, it was in the manufacturing industry. I was in the factory as an automation engineer then. And it happened that this company was going through a transition where it was changing ownership and it was rebranding and everything else which comes with that. And it came a time because of a lot of demands, the pressure which was there to cope, to still maintain the market need, push the new brand to the market. The production lines, changing the production lines to need to align with the new requirements. There was so much pressure for us to deliver within short time. And in the process, a lot of guys could not cope and resign. And I remember on one date, which was on February 13th, because I can remember very well because the following day was Valentine's Day. And I had a date. But that date did not happen. I'll explain how. So on that I was called in the MD's office, and I was told, you know what, we have a branch in Mombasa, and the guy who was heading the coast region has resigned, and you have to go and step in and run that office. And now this is a marketing office. I'm an engineer in the factory. I've never done marketing stuff. And I'm told, well, go and think about it, then you come in the afternoon. It was 11. Coming back at 2, I was given an air ticket, and I was given 3 weeks allowance to go and look for accommodation. So it was not like, even to be told to go and think about it, it was not thinking about it, I was just being informed. So at 2 p.m., I was given a ticket for 7 a.m. the following day morning, and I was told I'll find somebody waiting me at the Mombasa airport. And I didn't have a choice. I had to cancel my date for the 14th of February. I reported to the news station. I didn't know anything. The person who was to relay to me was not there, and I had to run. So I plugged in. It was quite a difficult task. Then now being sales and you have monthly targets on sales to deliver, there was so much pressure. Then I've gone now as a regional, as a branch manager. So I have staff which I'm also handling. And at that time, without these people skills or show skills, the soft skills. So you are handling things the best way you know how, but now really pushing, and you also push. So that anxiety build up because as the months come to close, you have your monthly targets, you are not there and you are doing all manner of things, the team, and now you see now for then I could not even cover it, Then now when being their boss, they see the anxiety in me and the same passes even to them. And an entire office, we are running helter-skelter to find how we get to hit on our targets. And that continued for a couple of months from February, come December, and along the way, now because of the pressure, we had to find a copy mechanism. And we do what we could do. Then after 5, we find somewhere to number ourselves. And slowly, we got now deep into alcoholism without knowing. It was just numbing the pressure of the day. But now it becomes almost a daily occurrence. Now we became popular. There are somewhere now we are known. So if we miss someone, it's like, where did you go? And this community, I remember now, come 31st of December, now the closure of the year, where the pressure now was very high. We worked until even at 11 p.m. because we had systems which need to close, and whatever sales now needs to be locked in before the year ends, because that is what will determine the financial year's performance. And after closing sales at around almost 11 p.m., we did the usual. And doing the usual, now it is also New Year, crossing the New Year, and until morning. And at 6 a.m. when we were going home, my car, I was the driver, and we had other 3 of us. Now we were driving home, of course not very ourselves, and we got a car crash. And it was a bad one because the car was split in, don't know, to 3 or 4 pieces. And I was the only survivor of that incident. Getting now, and it happened early in the morning, we were crushed by a trailer and it disappeared, so it didn't stop. So when police came, head injuries, nobody, the other guys, nobody was alive at that point. Now, I was the only one to tell the story to the police. And of course, now my story, when I cannot even express it because of the condition I'm in. So I was taken in. First, I was taken to the police, and after checking in, I was taken to the hospital. and they had to take blood samples and everything. And because of that, I was charged now for causing death by dangerous driving and driving under the influence of alcohol. And I'm injured also. I'm in hospital bed. So getting that took a lot of overwhelm on me. And it was quite a traumatic, if I can say. We lost my colleagues and friends. Here I am. Now the people, the way they see me, they ask me, now you are the driver. How did you survive yourself? How did it happen? It means, could you now you have looked at the incidents and then you sacrifice the others? You happen to kneel on the other where the vehicle is coming and you save yourself. You know, all manner of things. And it was quite a difficult time. And that pushed me actually to depression. To a level where actually I deserted work. I left my first employer through desertion. And because of this, I had now to cope with it for a couple of months. I sought for support, psychosocial support, for a couple of months. And slowly, I started getting out of it. And it is when I was getting out of it when there was an advertisement for a job in KPOC. And actually, it's not even me, it's a friend who came and told me, there is a job here, can you apply? And you know, those things you feel you don't want anything, you feel like the world has just crashed on you, and you don't want anything, you don't want to socialize, life is like has no meaning. And reluctantly, I did the application, which I remember the advert was around May. Then we forgot, and we were called for an interview around September. I came for them, but by that time, actually, I'd gotten out of it, and at that, I even had gotten another job, and I had moved on. Then, when I was called to report in KPOC January 2007, but by then now I'd made the resolutions, I had recovered out of it, and I had picked it as being given a second chance in life, a second chance to make the best I could make. And I took life seriously. I couldn't waste any other time because I knew every moment I have is precious. That is even the time I decided now I need to settle down. Before another incident happens, I had to have a generation behind. And others. So fast forward, you see, now it was a dip which led me to KPOC. And by the time I was getting to KPOC, I had taken it as a second chance. And everything I do it to my best. And everything I do it as if I will never do it again. And that is the kind of spirit now I carried on with. And I also became now more empathetic. You could really get to and put yourself in other people's situations. And you're not quick to judge. People may be going through stuff and you have no idea. So you tend to be more accommodative, more understanding, getting to even be sensitive on other people. When someone doesn't look like it's okay, I would want to really know, are you okay? Anyway, fast forward now in 2021, December 3rd. It is one morning, just normal coming to work. And then the process, I'm just called by my boss and they say the CS wants somebody who can help on understand issues to do with transformers. Then, yes, it's Kawi House I go. And that day, it's a day AGM was happening. And when we went to Kawi House, we didn't know exactly. I just quickly picked my laptop and tried to see what is it my information I can have. And that is typical of our work. You know, any day you wake up planning this, but something else happens. And those, you know, it's a whirlwind. You are like always in a whirlwind, try to keep stability of many boards which are running. And I identify with that happening across the company, most of the engineers, most of the technical guys, and even non-technical. you find there are many balls you are trying to juggle, and as you plan this something, and you need to be on your feet every moment. So on that day, I was under siege because when we went, showed the CS wants to visit some undisclosed place in KPOC premises, and we have to show them the way. And don't know, and it's not disclosed, but we are going. And the president said, okay, when then the PS said, one of you will have to get into my car. Then when that came time now to get the car, okay, myself, I got in. And we went to the car, the driver was not there. Then the PS jumps into the driver's seat. And now at that point, I'm wondering, where should I sit? Should I sit on the co-driver? Should I sit on the back, right, left? So as I go to the back left, then I find there are documents which are put on the seat. So I find myself on the back left. And now the PS is the driver. So at that point now, the roles are reversed. And we find ourselves in Roysample. And it was quite a tough time now, not knowing what exactly they are looking for. And now there is a full glare of the media. And at that point now, the CS found the transformers there and said, oh, these transformers, what are they doing? And I have now to find a way of managing the situation. Anyway, fast forward, it's in the evening when I'm taking back to the report to my boss, then I find they were seated in Exco, and I was given, I was told to go and make the presentation there of what transpired. And it is in that table when the news of the suspended GMs are broken in my eyes. And the people, the GMs who are to be suspended are seated there. And it, darkness, you get to feel total tension now building in the room and to wonder what's next. And now the second thing is that the people are to take up the positions of the GMs. They are red, and I'm one of them. And I wondered, should I decline? What do I say? What do I do? And anyway, said, it is here. So if it is God, this is how you want me to take this cup, let it be. And well, fast forward some 3 weeks down the line, actually not 3 weeks, it was 2 weeks. There were towers in Suswa which came down for Ketraco. Then all of a sudden we are made to support because of the challenges there, or we mobilize all our teams to support Ketraco. We spend all our time in Suswa, Christmas, New Year, a lot of harsh environment there, getting there before dusk, leaving at night, very cold, and surviving all that with everybody. And we managed by first. Second, then we were given commendation letters, I think on 5th. And on 11th of January, our towers come down in Imaradaima. And when they come down, it happened that they came down when I was doing a presentation to the board at Fairview Hotel. That is when it happened. So then after I left. I was the one actually already doing the presentation. Then the national blackout happens. I leave with the MD. We go, we find what has happened. Quickly start mobilizing restoration. 2 days later, I was to go and finish the presentation, which I didn't finish. Then when I was going to make I was doing the presentation, now the DCI are calling me. Right when I'm doing it before the board, I could mute, you know the way it's called, incessantly. Then you not disconnect. Immediately you check, then you call back and you're like, can you come to Kiambu Road? And I just go and tell the board I've been called to Kiambu Road, let me go finish, then I'll come and finish what I am meant to do. That is. Then going to Kiambu Road, little did I know that I'm not going to go back. And from Kiambu Road is to Muthaiga. Find my other colleagues had been called. The following day, which was on 19th of January, it was my birthday. And it is when I was presented to court and charged with terrorism, economic sabotage, and name them all. And well, The world looks like it's collapsing. But interestingly, I had some sense of peace. Interestingly, even with all these happenings. But I realized I drew it from the experience I had before. And the recovery journey I had came through now for these instances. Because I remember someone reminded me a couple of months ago, something I told them when they came to see us in Muthaiga. I told them my sole purpose is protecting myself from myself. And that was my focus. Protecting myself from myself. It is protecting my mind from whatever is happening and seeing that I don't react, I respond to whatever instances. And that kept me through. Even now, when one need led, we were given 9 days in Muthaiga. We spent 9 days after that. Eventually, we were charged and we were given a cash bail of 1 million. And well, the story continues. So first, getting terms with that reality and realizing that now, even from where I now as a supervisor, I needed not only to be strong for myself, but even for my team. Because if I break down, I will not only be breaking down myself, but also for my entire team. And I kept that faith going, also giving it to God. And God worked his own miracles because back of my mind were like, court cases takes years. But for sure, this case went through from beginning to end in a record 8 months until ruling was given. We were vindicated and we got back to work. But all this, what was a lot in my mind was, what is it that God wants to pick out of this story? What positive things do I need to pick out of this? And it was quite because I'm also managing my family, try to insulate my family from all this. I have also to really be strong for them, be strong also for others. And God saw us through, and we thank God for the far we have come. Now, when you look at now our story and my colleagues who were affected with this, the coping mechanisms may be different. But if your mental health is not in good condition, everything else comes down tumbling. If you have your mental health contained, managing the other situations somehow, you'll be able to pull through. And you find that it's not only in such extreme situations, because this was extreme, what we may call now an occupational hazard, but you find people have different sources of stress, different situations, crises, which they are managing with. And they have to take care of their mental health first through finding a support system, getting to encourage each other, finding also professionals who can walk the journey with you. And with that, we'll be able to pull out of it. And I normally look at it now, also now from a supervisor's or from a manager's point of view. The role we get to play, because it's not now in Kenya Power, and with the many, what we call the many technical people, where our training has been on technical skills, but the soft skills have not been, really, it has not been a real focus. Yet you find that it is now in the personal skills, the people skills, the social skills, the communication skills, which enable us to maneuver. We may know what we're doing, or we may have the technical competencies, but if we cannot relate well with our customers, we cannot be well to gel well with our team members, or as a supervisor, you cannot manage and lead your teams effectively, then it affects output. You see, like now in O&M, daily, any customer calling you is not calling you to say hi. Any call you get from a customer is not to tell you, hi, how are you doing? It is a complaint. Some will insult you. Some will talk all manner of things. Their customers will call, and even when you try to talk, they tell you, shut up, listen to me. And you can listen on that call for like 30 minutes. And I believe that is what even the call center experience. You know, in all manner of insults, then you fail. Then with that is coupled with Now, a team which is not empathetic, not able to understand your situation, and if your supervisors are not there to even understand and support you or resource you to be able to engage with that, then it can create that sense of anxiety. Because you're like, the end of the day, I want that supply back. I want that customer connected. I want that to be done. I want these results by the end of the day. And you have done your best, but now you're wondering, how else do I deal with this? Then plus now all the negative energy which is just around you and forming a bamboo around you, then you find yourself in disillusion. And a number of our staff have ended up finding also coping mechanisms which are not positive. And you get to find someone is getting deeper and deeper into kind of a mess. So yes, there is more need for for a company to get to help our teams, especially supporting now our guys who are interacting with the network out there, the customers out there, to build the what we call the mental resilience to cope with what is going on, because all this stuff are also coping with other issues. People have struggled with stagnation for so long. They are still stuck there after so many years, yet they are expected to give output. You find they are struggling also with family issues. They are struggling with many other societal issues. When that is compounded with the work pressure, plus now either supervisors who are not understanding or who are not even giving the necessary support system, then it becomes very difficult for everybody. But I know that if you get to insulate your mind from the external pressures, then the rest becomes easy. But what I can seek everybody to do, let's we embrace empathy. Let's we embrace open communication. Let us embrace sense of connectedness with each other. If you find you feel connected with others, somehow you find a way of keeping afloat. If you get to have people empathetic, understanding your situation and try to put themselves in your shoes and then holding your hand, it makes the burden lighter. If there is need two-way open communication with your peers and with your supervisors and your juniors, it becomes easier. And you find that it's easy to nurture a team or to nurture an environment where stress can be managed and managed in a better way. They say for the role of managers, the way we have PPEs for our teams out there, there are PPEs for managers as far as the mental health is concerned. First, the first P, try to prevent situations of creating creating an environment for mental stress to happen. Try as much as possible to create the right environment and prevent anything which may create unnecessary stress to our staff. The next P is now to be need to become a promoter. You promote mental health in the work environment. Be the leader, even in trying to encourage people to talk out, speak out. When you sense somebody who is looking like has an issue, try to reach out, check in and see what they do, what is eating them. And then with that, guide them towards the direction where they can get help. And on the E, try to encourage to encourage now to have it's employee assistance program. Actually, that is it. The E. First, prevent any mental health hazards. Secondly, being a promoter of good health, mental health. And the third, have employee assistance programs. With that, we'll be able to make a better workplace. Thank you.
Wow. I'd like us to appreciate one person that he mentioned. The friend who gave him that advert for Kenya Power to apply. Kindly. Because without that friend, we would not be having such a moving and inspiring testimonial from one of us. Thank you very much. And there's something that he's mentioned. protecting me from me. And he's gone the whole cycle of what we face, through what he faced, and how we can come out stronger. We just need that determination to remember that I come first, that you come first. And there's a scenario I want to ask Dr. Osoro. He's talked of managers minding the welfare of their juniors. And in this context, every person is a junior to the other person. If we go all the way even to the MD level, when you look at the board would say the MD is junior to us, and the board still is accountable, let's say, to the president. So each and every person has a junior form of self in terms of the organization. We have instances where the employees or the juniors are aware of their mental state, but the senior has, I wouldn't want to call it mental issues, but allow me to use that word for now. If my senior is not mentally stable or mentally aware of the pressure and the anxiety that they're causing me. From his instance, when the boss just gives you a ticket for a 7 a.m. flight at 2 p.m., that tells you that there is some disconnect. And we have instances that we can all relate with. In our line of work, we have days or moments when you feel like, I think Sally is being unfair. As much as she's the boss, she didn't think this through. And now it comes back. How can we as junior employees raise concerns when we feel that the boss is becoming an issue to our mental state? And I'll just like you to comment in this line that we have panelists who are therapists that employees can approach. And you can attest to the fact that some of us fear because of confidentiality. If I'm to go and say, my boss, Sally, I don't think her mind is okay. Assuming I'm coming to Dr. Osoro, what are the chances that I'll be safe or it will not be shared? And that is what keeps us off from saying that as much as I want to take care of my own state of mind, but there's this person who does not want to give me this second chance of life that we want all of us to appreciate. Dr. How do we handle such a situation?
Thank you so much again. It's quite a scenario, a common scenario at workplace. And first, when I can be able to know that there's an issue, I can be able to know from the reports which I get from employees. And that informs me now to start from up. When you see the junior staff complaining so much, then the up is not doing well. Then the approach which I give always is to start from the top management coming down, informing them about mental health, informing them about, I say that mental health is just a broad name, but beneath there are many disorders. And the many disorders which are very common in our workplace, one of it is what engineers said, anxiety. And then another one is alcohol. Another one which is taking a toll at especially the managerial system is depression. And so what I do is sensitize the top management first. The time Engineer Rosemary was there, I had to visit their office. The time Engineer Molly was there, I had to visit their office. The time our new manager is in now, I have visited, and I had to inform that mental health is real and we have to be able to handle it at workplace. The one thing which I can be able to say that it is, I want to appreciate our company because for real, they have accepted that having mainstreaming mental health at workplace is very, very important. Another thing which I can be able to say is what Engineer Ndolo has said, supporting the people who are beneath us, who are below us, supporting and seeing them. Seeing somebody who has been working, coming to work, enjoying the work, and all of a sudden performance has gone down, all of a sudden the ways dressing has changed. So having those indicators is very important. And what have we done as a company? Having training supervisors, top management on issues, how you can be able to identify early that the employee has a problem. So we take them through the training on mental health at workplace and other disorders, like especially the one which is really taking a toll on us, which is alcohol and substance abuse. How can you be able to say that an employee is suffering from this? Why do we train like that? We train so that we can be able to deal with the issue before it goes out of hand, and saying that going to the rehab, just mitigating it before it comes to, it doesn't go bad. Another thing, what engineers asked about, if my supervisor is the source of my mental health, then what should I do? One thing, we have a way we can be able to, you can be able to report that. We have an email where you can be able to report that. That is the employee support at kplc.co.ke, and that information is treated with a lot of confidentiality. Another thing, it forms a preventive awareness for me to be able to create a preventive awareness. Let's talk about stress management, how you can be able to know. And that way, you find like the supervisor is aware of how we can be able to manage that. Another thing, we are approaching mediation at workplace. This mediation is there. Why it came in is because we had issues of supervisor employee mostly having issues. And we saw like if we can be able to bring in a better way of solving a problem as a family, it will be able to see the person who's affected and the person who's complaining, to see the insights of how I can be able to handle this issue better, I can be able to handle this issue better. We have also come up with preventive measures. When I talk about mediation, I'm one of them who is certified mediator, and we have quite a number. I think the next level we are going is the level of CBMs to be trained about mediation, so that they can be able to see how can we be able to sort issues at workplace. For now, all the regional HROs are trained. We have champions, we have a committee on that, which are dealing with issues of conflicts at workplace. How can we be able to solve the conflicts at an amicable way, and without making the person feel like he's a lesser person, making the person to feel to go into depression? How can we be able to do that? We have strategies which we are approaching the way of dealing with the issues, especially, you know, for a supervisor to have an issue with the junior person is because of performance. Because basically that is what is connecting them. It is performance. When a supervisor is asking, why have you not come to work? Why are you not performing today? Why has your performance gone down? Because of the mental illness. The supervisor is just looking at the performance. But I want to encourage all the supervisors here, all those who are watching us online. It is very important when you see your junior person going down or your employee going down, it is important to separate the employee first with a problem. If this employee is coming in drunk, separate the employee. You'll be very objective when you separate the employee from the drinking, and then you are able to assist. If you separate the employee from the depression, from the anxiety, then you are able to address this. And when you can be able to do that, you support the employee objectively. You are able to support. So one thing we have created is we have preventive measures. These preventive measures, we do them in medical camps. Every time you hear medical camp, very important to come out, because in medical camps, we have many activities which are happening there. We have, you test yourself, you assess yourself, both in psychological assessment, blood pressure, all those things which are make yourself to be a complete person. That is a preventive measure. Why do we do that? Because most of the time we are so busy at the workplace, we have no time. So we bring the service providers to the workplace so that we can allow our employees to go and get the assessment, check on their sugars, check on their prostate cancer, check on their every type of lifestyle disease which can be able to affect the employee. And I want to say that when we do these preventive measures, we have talks, different talks on different disorders. When we do these talks, it has benefited the supervisory team. It has also benefited the people who are being supervised. And in that way, we create a family which understands mental health. And when we understand like that, we reduce the conflict which come between us. But let me tell you that if you are a supervisor and you are not stable in mind, then it will affect the people you are leading. If you are not okay, if you are not stable, it will affect the people you are leading, and you find like it can spill over from let's say from a GM who is not okay mentally, is having issues, unfinished business. You find like it will go down to the people below the GM. It will go back to even to the family level. You find like it affects even the family level. So it's very important as supervisors. We have what we introduced at workplace. Managers going above. You have to look at your assessment, psychological assessment. And I want to speak it here today. For those who are not aware, we have that one. And the Kanban, the HR, the Kanban caters for that. You go for your psychological assessment. Why do you do that? So because you are leading these people so that you don't affect them. So it's very important. You take that one and you get assessed. They assess your emotional status, what you call the MSC, the emotional status examination. They also assess how you are doing psychologically, so that you cannot be able to damage the people behind you are leading. We have come up with structures which are supporting employees to alleviate stress. And one of these structures is supporting them and their family, their nuclear families. When it comes, remember that the company can pay for you and for your children and for your spouse to get this help. So if it is very important when you see some symptoms, even for your own children. Remember, if my child is affected, it's very hard for me to perform, because I'm thinking about when you look at many issues which are affecting employees, the first thing is from family, the second thing is workplace. And so it's very important to understand how you can be able to cater for the symptoms, understand the people you are leading, understand your family, because doing like that, you are mitigating the problem. So the preventive measures we do the medical camps, all the regions, with all the bringing in the service providers. We also do, in here, we do men and women wellness. You check on yourself, how better you are doing. We are doing this so that it is a preventive measure of something which is coming to be a big thing ahead. So those are the things which we are putting so that we can be able to. We are also creating an avenue of sensitizing employees through flyers, through like what we are doing now, for employees to be able to understand that it is important to be able to take care of your mental health. It starts with you. I remember when the Kanban went, we had a lot of turbulence that show our engineer to go in. That was a difficult moment in our company. It was for sure a difficult moment. I remember I visited them in Muthaiga, and I had the opportunity to talk one-on-one with all of them, and it was not an easy time. But I want to thank Kenya Power, which is a KiloWatt, because I saw one team, the way they were coming in. I want to say that when it is like there is a mental health issue or there is a stress issue, that togetherness, that support system, it is very, very important. The other thing I can be able to say is what is mentioned. We have employee assistance programs. These employee assistance programs is the areas where you can be able to seek for your mental health. If you feel like you are stressed, so remember we are using so much mental health, but basically mental health is, we have things like mood, when you feel like your mood is not okay, stress, depression, bipolar, those are all things, anxiety, trauma, personality also is an issue. So how can you be able to get help? We have, the company has contracted some service providers, and we have Chiromo, which is one of them. We also have Kenya Counselors Psychological Association, which is led by Professor here. We have LVCT. We also have different rehabs where we take our employees. who are severely affected. The approach we give of helping in mental health is we look at the whole population, where we do now the preventive measures to create awareness also, to do the sensitization, and then we narrow down to the risk population. The risk population, those are the people who are exposed through the work they do. Like now, the risk population in my population is the technical team and the engineers. Actually, it is the technicians and engineers because of their nature of work and the many things. The Kanban, when it comes to Kenya Power, it is them who carry the Kanban, for sure. When it comes to many things which are there, it is a technical company, and it is geared toward through the technicians, the engineers. So those are my risk population. And then we also narrow down now from the whole population to the risk population. And also the risk population also involves the employees with special children, employees who have different disorders, employees who have uh, different disorders, learning from autistic milestones, all those, because when you have that, you also, parenting a child who is special, it is not easy. Then we narrow down to the affected team. The affected team now, those are the people who are go to hospital, like what Clive was saying. He went to the rehab and then came back. Those are now the affected population, seeing how we can be able to help them be healed and come back to work. So the main thing I can be able to say as we are in this, for those who are watching, for those who are here, mental health is really on the rise, and it's very important, especially the leaders, to understand and see how we can be able to help employees. How can you be a brother's keeper? This is the time you have to look at one another and see how can you be able to relate to one another and be there for one another. Thank you.
In the spirit of being there for one another, I'd just like to request Professor Catherine to give a few remarks in this aspect. We have areas or centers in which we can go and get assistance for the different cases of mental health issues that we are facing. And not just in Kenya, but even in Kenya Power, these centers are located in major towns. But we have employees in areas, in towns that don't have such facilities. And we are very aware of the circumstances that exist. I wouldn't want to mention counties or towns, but that employee in an area or a town who cannot access, let's say, Chiromolen, who cannot, let's say, access the company facilities, because if it is Daktari, she's in Nairobi. If it is in my case, I have to come to Nairobi. But I don't want to tell my boss, excuse me, boss, I am going to talk to, there's that stigmatization. I'm going to talk to a counselor or a psychiatrist. There's a lot of stigmatization around us. But I'm sure there are like self-help kits or books or sites that I'm sure our audience would appreciate from the association. How can we get to protect ourselves? Like, how can me protect me from where I am? Because mental health awareness requires some form of comfort. But if I have to travel, or if I have to incur an extra cost for me to realize that comfort, then it becomes a discomfort. But I'm very sure we have like a self-help toolkit or a site or books or just areas that our audience would appreciate if they can have that information to kickstart their journey of mental health awareness now. Professor.
Right. Thank you so much. First and foremost, I want to appreciate that Kenya Power and Kenya Counseling and Psychological Association have gotten into a contract. And KCPA, that is the short form of Kenya Counseling and Psychological Association, we have now about 9,000 counselors and psychologists within the country who are within the association. And our role is to make sure that whatever they do, in however they do it, they are professional and that they are going to be confidential, and they are going to ensure that professional ethics is going to be the foundation of whatever they do. Kenya Counseling and Psychological Association is in the 47 counties. And we have a structure where we have leadership in each one of the counties within our structure. And therefore, there is a way in which wherever people are, they can be able to get a counselor. And we are going to, and I think we have given Daktari the structure of KCPA so that if she is requiring a counselor like in regions like Garissa, there are readers that she can connect with so that they can connect with other counselors and psychologists within the region. But at the same time, we are having a platform now that we are putting in place where people can book online and they can actually get counseling and support or mentorship or coaching through online. That's going to make support to be very easy, because for the ones who would want to be anonymous, because sometimes people want an anonymity, especially when they have not been able to gather courage to be able to see, you know, I don't mind what people say. For some people, they are still minding, and therefore, being in a situation they can book their sessions online helps them to be able to shield themselves from the anxiety of feeling exposed that they are seeking for help. Apart from that, in the website of Kenya Counseling and Psychological Association, we have resources that are in there. I want to admit we don't have enough resources. We still need to have a repository of more resources that can help our people either to be able to test that I'm having anxiety, and indeed my level of anxiety is getting to levels where I now need to be seen by a professional, or this is anxiety that I can be able to manage. Or even when we are talking about schizophrenia, that these are the symptoms that will indicate to me that really I now need to be seen by a professional. We need to put more materials in there in terms of psychometric tests where people can be able to test themselves and see at what level they are going through a particular condition that they are fearing that they do have. Materials in terms of books, we are going to be putting more in there so that, like for example, if you would want books on parenting, that we have books on parenting, books on different kinds of conditions, the ones that Daktari was talking about, whether it's anxiety disorder or personality disorder. When can I know that I'm having a particular personality disorder that I need to attend to because it is affecting my work and my productivity? So that if I'm so narcissistic that I would want to be in the center, and I don't want other people to be seen, it's me who wants to be seen, then I need to modify that as a worker so that I can also give other people a chance to be seen and to be felt, and for me now to recede and to work on my narcissistic personality problem so that I can now be able to become more normal in the way that I relate with other people. I must admit there is more we need to do, but there are still some materials in the website of KCPA that members of and employees of Kenya Power can utilize, and also that we can be given feedback on what more that we need to provide so that there can be more prevention. There can be more prevention. Allow me to mention a condition that has become more recurrent in our country, and we call it ACE, adverse childhood experiences. You may have gone through adverse childhood experiences. What were those? What is it that you went through? Is it a very dysfunctional family? Did you go through your parents' marriage that was very toxic, and therefore that was projected? A lot of toxicity was projected on you, and you kind of feel that your problems come from there. What are the traumatic experiences that you went through? Do not stay with that. You need to go through a process of being helped to be able to deal, because that was trauma. And now it is not trauma, it is what we call PTSD, the post-traumatic stress disorders. And in Kenya, because of the many experiences that we go through, some are political experiences we go through, others are workplace experiences with supervisors and others that we go through, and they may make us to be traumatized. And when it is like 1 month beyond the time of the trauma, then that is PTSD. But the one that I'm talking about a lot is the adverse childhood experiences, because they still plague you even to today. And for many people who go into addiction, there is something about ACE that makes them to be in addictions. And so when people allow themselves to deal with issues that may have affected them when they were much younger, then they are going to be more fresher, to be able to relate with themselves better and to relate with others better, and to be able to be more productive. The technical staffs and even all the others in the different sections.
Wow. And let's just appreciate Professor Catherine. I believe that the session we've had is a session of a second chance. Why do I say that? The partnership between Kenya Power and KCPA is a second chance to all of us as employees of Kenya Power to now gather that confidence, grow that grit, and protect us. And as we wind down the panel, we began with a story, so we must end with a story. Is that correct? Engineer Mbogwa,
Yes.
when you talk of mental health and the workplace,
Yes.
and this issue of awareness, what is your story?
Thank you, everybody. My name is Engineer Josephat Mbugwa. I'm a Chief Engineer in ICT at the headquarters. I basically give data services, data networks, and the data centers. And in that, for those who are in the branches and the headquarters, you realize we have the systems and we give the support services to the systems. That is the network and the services in the data center. And from around 2017, 2018, I started experiencing a lot of downtime on the systems. And maybe the engineer can attest to that. And you'll find when we lose the ICT systems, we are basically grounding their business operations. And this one by itself put a lot of pressure on me in being in charge of the data services. And I gave it a very personal approach. Maybe I was having a challenge, maybe the people around me, maybe a challenge the delegation, and I took a lot of, it took toll on me. And then around the same time, there was a lot of changes in the organization, change of systems and regimes. And with every change, it comes with expectations. And I found myself in the front line. Every time you talk about the data center availability, the networks. So come to around 2019, systems are not working out well. I mean, I started seeing like everything is colluding towards me and against me. And I started adopting the coping mechanism of a bit of alcoholism here and there. I realized I'm losing taste in the things I like. I may say I'm a good golfer. I like golfing, but I found myself drifting. At the family level, I found about having that positive discussion with my family. And so even at the place of work, I realized my relationships were not working out well. People who were very close to me started drifting a bit. But I could not see, I was not seeing anything changing in me. Then towards the end of 2021, I lost my mom. It's a person who was very dear in my life. And I just took it casually like anybody else, especially the boy child. I said, okay. But after some time, I started finding that I'm asking myself small questions. I started feeling like maybe I didn't do much for my mom. And I was very busy with the work. So I started having a conflict. Is it my work that did not provide me time to be with my mom? Or is it this work is not? And so very many times I contemplated resigning without a clear mind of where I'm going. And of course, the coping mechanism here came in as alcoholism. So 2022, I can say, was the very engineer talked about. That was my deep end. And the problem with alcoholism is that most of the stuff is happening inside. So you can't see it, but those around you are seeing it until one day, I started finding that I'm having challenges in reporting to work on Mondays and Fridays. Until one of my good boss told me, Josephat, I've noted that most of the times your offs are on Fridays. It didn't hit me. I just found, okay, fine, I'll manage this. Then the Mondays came in, and it was bad. I realized now I've started using SMSs, and I will assume that the boss has read it. But one day I requested for an off, and then I saw like it was coming. But actually, it was not meant for my leave. My off day, it was meant for my staff. So I just went busy. I'm happy I've gotten the leave, only to find that for 4 days I have not reported to work, but actually don't have official off. And that's the time I sat down. I said, there's a problem here. I need to sit down and ask myself questions. And that's the time I looked for Dr. Stella. She was a bit busy, so I kept on looking for her, but we met, and the first question she asked me, Josephat, how is your drinking? I told her right away, I'm not happy with it. How is your family? It's neither good. So what do you want? I just want to take a rest and see what I need to do with my alcoholism. So she suggested, she mentioned about a few places, and she mentioned to me about Chiromo. And I think there was so much thirst in me to run away from alcoholism. I told her, I don't want to go back home. Please allow me to proceed to that place. No, Josephat, I have not made any arrangements. So I told her, no, I just want to proceed there. Tell me where it is. So she didn't tell me where it is. Yeah, so she told me, no, I'll call. Then by Monday, I think it was on a Thursday, by Monday you will go. So I went home. I didn't talk to anybody, and I packed myself nicely. So by Monday, I proceeded to Chiromo very early in the morning. Just like engineer said, I had packed my, is it Kevin who said, I packed my parting shots. So we drove to the hospital. I think I was calling Sarah by around 6:30. Says, Dr. Sarah, where is this place? And she told me, okay, I'll give you a number which you will be assisted. So I made that call, and I was directed to the hospital. I went to the gate, just looked for parking. I did my stuff there with my wife, and she's telling me, hey, what is it? Did you know you're going to a hospital? I'm not even reasoning. I'm winding up. And I walked in there. So I went and met the reception, but when I went to the place, I found it was plenary like this, and there was a lot of noise. And I whispered to my wife, I asked her, Kwani, I have a problem with my mental, whatever. Why has Stella referred me to this place? Guys were singing, And it was around the election time. Some guys were singing national anthem, others were singing all that. So like, really? Is this belonging? So I went through the process, being asked questions, and then I was referred to a psychiatrist. It's a different world from the world we know about. Psychiatrists, psychologists, I don't know what. Everything was psy. And they say, really, what is this? So when I went to psychiatrist, he looked at me and told me, Josephat, I have understood your problem. For sure you have a problem, and from now onwards, you are under medical protection. Just go and book yourself in, and then we'll work on that. So I was booked in for 7 days. I went through a detox process, and after that, I was relieved to go home. I had a small relapse, it's like Kevin did, but the experience was very bad. But I was recommended to go to a resort, not a rehab. I just booked myself into a resort for 1 month. And while there, I was just having time to myself, doing what I could, go to the shamba, go to some other places, reading books, and also having sessions on coping mechanism. It was very healthy because, as engineers say, that as we do our training, we are trained so much on what to do, but life is not only what to do, there are other things that accompany. It was a big challenge, but I had a moment of reflection, and I saw the things that were hitting me. I was able to ask myself questions and answer myself and forgive myself. And I moved on. So from there, I came back to work. And one thing I need to appreciate to Dr. Stella is what somebody has mentioned about confidentiality. That one is there. Nobody knew where I was. When I went back to my place, some people were talking about having been in China. I would not dispute that. I would not dispute that. I will just keep it cool. But with time and the changes that people would see, they realized that for sure I had gone somewhere to work on my mental status. So, in a nutshell, the process works. Just like what Kevin has said, the process works. I'll be celebrating my 8 months of sobriety in a few days' time. Yeah, so it works. And for those who are in the field who have a challenge, I would urge them, just sit down and think. There is help around the corner. And what the professor said, that there is so much baggage that we carry from where we come from. Somebody mentioned to me that you have your family of origin, where you are born and brought up. This is our first family. There's a family of recreation. You got married, those people, you're told they are your brothers, your sisters, your parents. Then there's a family which you work with, the family you socialize with. And all these are different families. And sometimes there can be conflicts. You find there's something which is pulling you from work, another is pulling you from the family, and remember you're only one person. Sometimes these forces can be overwhelming. So just seek the advice, seek help. They will say that you have accepted that you have reached a dead end, and there is a power up there that can help you. So, and in most cases, you find things like might look so dark. I normally say, don't make yourself the ultimate. Always have an escalation mechanism. Always know that when everything looks dark, you can just leave it at that. And you say, I have handed over to the higher power. And then you leave it at that. The other bit I wanted to share with is somebody has said, protecting yourself against yourself. Our brains are very powerful. They are very influential to ourselves. So try not to spend a lot of time between yourself and your brain. You are very weak against your brain. Always try to build a group around it. Socialize, sports, involve other activities. And that's why I like when somebody says the hard teachings of Jesus, the hardest bit is where you're told that you have already committed the act before you have actualized it. It's because most of the stuff happens in the mind. So when you are just alone there with your mind, it can be a very stormy situation. So socialize and open up. And I appreciate KPLC as our employer to have seen it necessary to create this kind of forum where we can share, because most of the times you just find, as I was sharing with Stella, if you read the story of people, by the time you read the fifth or the sixth story, you'll find it's repeating itself. So we're all going through more or less the same stuff. So it's just a question of sharing, and sharing is caring. So that's my one. Thank you.
I believe that we've had a wonderful 2-hour engagement of lessons, of inspiration, of key takeaways, and of hope. And I'd like to end our session by thanking my panelists, my change makers, for inspiring hope in us that we can beat this monster that we call mental health. And I'd just like to end with a quote and say that in order for there to be light, there has to be darkness. Regardless of what you're going through, regardless of your situation, for you to experience light, like they have shared, there has to be darkness. It's upon you to now light up that candle and you'll see the light. And we are here for you. Feel free and, like a bird, explore. And finally, like all of us have said in different ways, we all have a second chance in life. Let's embrace it. Thank you very much, and I'll hand it back to Gregory.
Thank you. I think we will end it there unless somebody has a quick comment to make, and then I urge that we remain the people who are here present, but I want to really thank the people who are out there listening to us, the supporters of KiloWatt Hour, wherever they are, and I believe that more is coming because we hope to be having this kind of a session as we go forward, different themes, but this particular theme of this time, I must say that it has started with a big bang, and I'm really happy to hear all those stories. This place is full of stories, and we will share all of them. So next time we come to you, when you're out there, please feel free to come and share your story, because your story will inspire someone else, and they will make someone who maybe is going towards the deep end to come up, and that is what we need to do for each other as a family of what I would call the KiloWatt family. Thank you very much, and God bless you. If someone has a comment, let us do that before we close. Ruth.
Good afternoon, everyone. Mine is just to appreciate the company for this initiative. Thank you, Greg. Thank you, Dr. Stella, and everybody behind all this. And I think we are really getting supported. And I think this coming out to share our stories, I think I've shared mine today. And it's out of the support I've also experienced. And it's nice. It's beautiful. There's nothing to be ashamed about what you've gone through. It's literally my story for God's glory, that God's take the glory in the end, in the story, as dark as it is. I have a question for our psychologist. They've said the psychologist or psychiatrist. It's Dr. Catherine or Dr. Professor Catherine, yes. Thank you and congratulations. You're doing a good job. And I admire you because it's not easy, Dr. Stella, carrying the burden. If somebody shares with me something hard. Like even a friend, there's a time a friend shared their story and I felt like, hey, hii mzigo umeniwekelea nikubebee ni mzito, so you carry so much for people. It's not easy. I see the way she's always on toes. You want to talk to her, she's carrying her bag. She has developed the habit of carrying a very big bag because she's always going to meet people. And congratulations for what you're doing. But my question is, maybe out of my experience, I have interest to do some counseling, even if at a low level, to help people within my circle, and even to just be a champion on mental health. Maybe I want to do a certificate, a diploma, or just something at this level that maybe I may advance in future, but I want to do alongside my career. I'm interested to professionally assist people around me in church, somewhere. Is there as we call it KCPA? And is there something that we can get, or some programs that we can roll even online or physically, that can just help on that one?
For social counselor, and it goes for 20 days. And there is a class that we take in the evening, 2 evenings in a week, 2 evenings of 2 hours in a week, until we are able to do all the hours. We make sure it's going to be as practical as it can be. And we are doing this so that we can be able to develop much more human resource or manpower within our communities, whether we are talking about workplaces or we are talking about faith communities, but we need to develop a lot of manpower so that we can be able to respond to the many challenges that we have. Yes, there is that program. It is either 1 day per week for 20 days, or it is 2 evenings in a week for 20 weeks. For 20 weeks, yes. We can even tailor make even for like a week when it is a short course, or even a certificate. But for those who would want to become professionals and you'd want like to do a diploma, then you go to the affiliate institutions of the association, because then you can get a certificate that you get recognition, because now we are having the the Counselors and Psychologists Act under the Ministry of Health. And therefore you have to have a license for you to be able to practice. And the minimum to be licensed is a diploma. So if you want to be licensed and you want to have a second career apart from the one that you have, then you can do a diploma. If you want to help in whichever sector, then you can do the one that we are offering at the association, that is going for the 20 days, because it has the theories of counseling. We look at psychology of the person in terms of how are they thinking, how are the emotions, how can we process the emotions, all the works about helping. The only thing that is there is that you become a paraprofessional. At that point, you cannot be licensed by the body that licenses. Yeah, yeah. I am going to give Daktari that the program itself. I will send you the program itself, and then they can look at it and see. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. God bless you. I think we end it there so that we are on time. Moderator, thank you very much. We want to thank you for the great work. I'm sure engineer has done a very good job. That is why you are talking about international experience. Thank you very much for doing that. Thank you very much, our guest, Professor Catherine, for coming and making it happen for us. Dr. Stella, I can't thank you enough for what you have done for this inaugural program. And for our storytellers, we are very grateful. The stories came out so well, so naturally. That is what we want. God bless you. And all our employees out there, have a lovely evening and enjoy your weekend. And God bless you until we meet again in the next episode of